Hello and welcome to episode 6 of PR in a Car. I'm Rich Lee and I run Radioactive PR and the Radioactive Group. I've talked a lot on these podcasts about team structure, about employing. One of the things I haven't really talked about is how to build a team and how to build the kind of team that you want. I've been in PR for, as I think I've said a few times on here now, 13 years. I've been actively recruiting for certainly the majority of that, and obviously since I started the agency 5 years ago. And I've made some great recruitment choices. I've made some missteps. I think I was naive at the beginning and I imagined that I would get it right every time. That's not been the case. And it's, through no fault of anybody's particularly. It's just a case of, the recruitment process is a difficult one, and any business, I guess, of any a certain age, will have felt certain pain points. One of the things I always do when I look to recruit is I look for fit. I look for I look for team fit. So I always kind of have a quadrant in my head. It's kind of bad fit, good fit, low skilled, high skilled. Now, of course, there's grey areas in between those things, and somebody will be on a sliding scale almost. But I always think if I can get somebody that's a good fit and low skilled, we can always teach. PR, if you're a sponge, as I kind of mentioned in my last podcast, if you are willing to learn, if you're keen to kind of put the time in to learn around a topic, you can absolutely upskill. And quite quickly. I came into PR not knowing that much about it, if I'm absolutely honest, and I just kind of relied on my, on the foundations of what would then become, practical skills. I would like to think a good communicator, good writing, attention to detail, just positivity and ambition, and all of those things that I like to see in people that I employ too. But you can upskill. So I always reason that I will take a low skilled or somebody that's not necessarily as skilled or experienced as somebody else. I'll always take that person over a bad fit high skilled, even if the high skilled is the best person you've ever interviewed in terms of the interview process itself. If you just get that vibe that they won't fit with the the company that you've built, with the agency you're building, with the team you have, then don't bring them in, because one person is all it takes. So for me, it really is. Of course, if you can get a good fit, high skilled, then you're laughing. But recruitment it's not an exact science. It's something that I actually do really enjoy. I love meeting new people from the perspective of, could you come into my agency and could we do great things together? I've made missteps. I think anybody that's run a business of a certain age has. I recently heard hire slow, fire fast, and I'm not much one for firing. I've had to let a couple of people go over the time that I've been running the agency, and it's never nice. I think the fact is, it's a kindness long term, and it's a kindness to yourself, because if all I care about is that I've got happy people in that room. In that office. If I've got happy people, they will do good work. I've often talked about this. You've probably heard me parrot it if you've heard me talk about it before day. I care a lot about the team being happy. And as I said, if you put one person in there that isn't a good fit, that could potentially be quite toxic, it's a hand grenade. It's somebody that is going to change the dynamics of that office, and it's somebody that's going to change the way that people interact. Which is why, if somebody at interview stage is incredibly passionate about a certain thing, sometimes that kind of zeal for it can become a bit much, and what you end up with is somebody that you think, oh God, about whether it is a topic that could potentially be quite inflammatory within a workplace setting. If that person's particularly passionate about it, politics being one, it's not so much anymore the case, but certainly was a year or two back, where politics comes into almost every interview. And I just think, I was always told, my mum always said, do not discuss politics or religion with anybody, and I tend not to. Not that I don't think there's a conversation to be had, but I just think, well, do you know what? It's not my it's not something I'm passionate enough about. Personally and privately I am, but publicly, there's just too much nuance, too much room for upset, too much room to wind people up. So I've had people come in and be quite overzealous, and I think, do you know what? You might well be if you're like this in an interview, you're going to be like this in the workplace setting. And do I need that? Which brings me to social media. Now, if I'm interviewing you, I've looked at your social media if it's public, because I would expect nothing less of you. I would expect you to do your background too on us as an agency, me as a boss, the team. I'd expect you to do your due diligence in terms of, I can never say that, due diligence in terms of the company that you're potentially walking into. I'm doing the same thing. The number of times that I've looked at a CV, and CVs are difficult. You always look at them and think, well, they're much of a muchness. It's rare for somebody to actually stand out on paper, besides experience potentially, or if they take a particularly different approach to recruitment. It's difficult for somebody to stand out, but people do. Cover letters work, and they are read. If you're so what I'll do then is I'll go to social, and I'll see what you're putting out there, because it's a shop window, especially if you have a blog. This is a shop window to you as a potential employee, to you as a potential person working with clients on a day-to-day basis, to you working with journalists and producers and all of that. If I'm a client and I look at your social media, and bear in mind, this is yours, this is public, this is the perception of you. You are happy with people seeing. If I'm a client and I look at that, or client of our agencies and I look at that, how does that make me think about you? What do I think about you? How do I feel about you? How do I feel about about a potential working relationship with you? All of these things matter. It's so important that you put your best foot forward. And if you don't want to, if you're like, do you know what? Actually, no, fuck off, Rich. Bottom line is, that's who I am. I am who I am, whatever. Cool, that's absolutely fine, but I'm definitely going to be looking. And again, I'm not going to bring somebody into my agency that you haven't built over 5 years. I've built, me and the team have built. The team of people that we've been quite careful to construct. I'm not going to have somebody come in and impact that negatively. So I'm going to look and I'm going to make my own decisions. And the interview, like it or not, in 2020 is a part of that. If there's something public about you out there, rightly or wrongly, I'm going to find it before a client does, or before a potential journalist does. Not that tends to happen. So that for me is a big one. I want people that want to be in my agency. I want people that want to learn, and I want people that want to progress. Ambition is huge for me. You're not coming into my agency to sit still. You're not coming into my agency without the kind of determination to keep moving, to come in at a certain level and improve and upskill. With our help, we've got that training budget that I think I've talked about before. We've got multiple ways that we can make you better and a definite career path. But if you're going to sit there and think that you're owed it because of time spent or age or anything like that, then that's just not going to happen. And people come to our agency to grow, and because of the culture, it's mentioned in most of our interviews. Most of the times I sit down with somebody, it's brought up that we seem like a place that they're going to really enjoy working, and I obviously want that to be the case. I also hope that people see that it's a place that if you work hard, you are rewarded too. If I'm there worrying because somebody is leaving a few minutes early, or has something to get to or something like that, then I'm not treating that person as I'd wish to be treated, which is a human being that probably gives more than the bare minimum. So recruitment is not easy, and I've got high standards. Everybody in the agency knows that. But then they do too, and you should do, if what you want to do is build something, grow something, enjoy doing what you do. I think we're all, the retirement age is getting pushed further and further back. We should enjoy what we do. We should be passionate about what we do as best as we can. And I don't, but also while realising that life happens in and around work, you're not going to be chained to your desk for me, but you will hopefully be somebody that works hard, learns well, and always kind of contributes. As part of our reviews, as part of our framework, we have behaviour, kind of behaviours we'd like to see, and they're pretty much the same across the board, barring people that are direct line managers, where we ask that they're conscientious of and empathetic to more junior members' needs. But across the board, as well as your competencies, I am a good PR exec if I do this, I'm a good PR account manager if I do this, and we score based on that. Also behaviours, I'm a good team member when, and it's the things you'd imagine. I treat people as I wish to be treated. An easy, simple one. We're taught it as kids. I think people forget that. I think especially in a professional environment where maybe there's promotion, there's more money, it's potentially on the table. These things, people all of a sudden forget sorry, my ears went then. People forget the basics of being a human being. Just be kind. Be nice in an office workplace. If you're talking about somebody behind their back and you're saying something that you wouldn't say to them, that is not kind. Full stop. If you're misusing company, company property and equipment, and on that you are kind of slagging somebody off, that is not kind. So that's a big one for me. But there are other things. Look after the workplace. I love the broken window theory. I talked to the team about it. Not loads, obviously, because that'd be weird. If you've got a building and there's a pane of glass with a hole in it, somebody smashed that pane of glass, leave it a week and there'll be more smashed panes of glass. There'll probably be some graffiti, there'll be some rubbish dumped outside of it, and all of a sudden people think because of that one broken window this is okay because somebody doesn't care. Somebody doesn't care enough about this building, about this location, about this park, about this office, about these stairs leading up to the office, this ramp leading up to the office, whatever it is. Somebody does not care enough. And do you know what? Why should I? And you can see this. I've got 3 kids. If you think it's okay to just leave crap all around the house, what are they going to do? They're going to learn that that's okay too, and they'll mirror those behaviours. They'll kind of model those behaviours that you've demonstrated to them. So for me, in the office environment, nothing is somebody else's problem. We take pride in where we work. We take pride in the environment itself. And if there is, as you're walking in, just outside the gate, there's, like this morning, there were just a pair of jeans on the gate, which is really, really weird. We're kind of central Gloucester, so strange things happen. So there's just this pair of jeans on the side. How many people walk past that? How many people don't do anything about that? What can you do about that? It's just having that pride in where you work. And that's a behaviour that I like to see modelled, because that kind of infiltrates everything. Do you know what? I used this media list, and it was, we got a load of bounce backs, but that's all right. It's for the next person to worry about. No, it's not. If there's something amiss with a media list, if you think actually it could be way better, it's incumbent on you to fix it. It's incumbent on you as the person, the last person to see that problem, to think, well, this can be better and I can make it better. And again, you can see the people that care enough to do those things a mile off. So that's the kind of person I try to employ. All of this, and you're trying to get this from an interview, or maybe 2 interviews, it's tough to get it right. And as I say, I've made mistakes. I've brought sometimes people in that wouldn't necessarily be right. I've also brought some phenomenal people into the agency that I'm very proud to have working with us. And I've had people that have left to go and do other things, and we've all been genuinely gutted to lose those people. So had this weird thing when I started. I wanted to be the agency with a really low, it's not odd I guess, but with a really low turnover of staff, and we've managed that. But when I said actually a really low turnover of staff, I really didn't want anybody to go. I wanted it to be so good that people thought, right, I'm going to buck the PR industry trend, and I'm not going to just jump ship for £1,000. I'm going to stay at Radioactive because it's a great place to work, and it's somewhere that I really enjoy being. I'm valued. We do good work. We're well managed. All of those things. Well, I guess the reality is, not everybody comes to stay forever, and I need to be okay with that. I guess you do. The first person that left off their own accord because they were going to another opportunity, it hurts. You think, what didn't I do? Whereas you just need to remember, actually, you're not necessarily. You might be a springboard on that person's journey, and I'm actually proud to be. Now I've got some kind of perspective. You can be proud to be somebody that's helped that person on their journey. When I recruit, I try to ensure that the people in front of me are representative of of where we live. It's hard. I guess the majority of people that work in PR are women, and that certainly kind of bears itself out when I interview. The majority of CVs I get are from females, and females, just like Friday night dinner. That's a very niche reference for if this A goes international and B lasts for any significant length of time. It's not just diversity in the kind of in terms of race, in terms of gender, in terms of intellectual diversity, and diversity of background as well. I'm a big one on the fact that I might sound a certain way, I might look a certain way, but my background's very, very different to what you might imagine. But you wouldn't necessarily know that. So I tried to take people through from apprenticeship schemes, kind of post GCSE apprenticeship schemes, because for me that's where I'm going to find people that wouldn't necessarily even have considered PR as a career. Maybe it's an apprenticeship scheme for business, maybe it's for marketing in general. I found a couple of our employees that have been with us for a couple of years now, 2-3 years each, came through that way, and it's a great way to find people that are different to your standard degree educated, private school educated, kind of white middle class PR person. So yeah, I think I'm always wary of it. Again, I can only react to the job market as it is out there, and maybe there's more that I can do from a process or from an initiative perspective, and I'm always thinking of what more we can do there. But I care very much that we do take that kind of approach. It's just then what we all I care about is the best person for the job. I really do. Anyway, that is probably a longer ramble than I thought it was going to be. I hope there's something interesting in that for you. I'm really enjoying doing this, and I should say that this to me is practice. Me doing PR in a car was basically to teach myself how to podcast, how to video podcast, how to distribute, how to get up on Apple Podcasts, etc. And I've got more things I want to do. Other podcasts I want to do, podcasts for clients, because I was bored of spending a load of money on studios and producers when it's something that I've always been quite autodidactic. I wanted to learn it for myself, just to make sure that I at least have an understanding of how it works and can kind of talk the talk, so to speak. So whether I keep doing these, I think I will, but we'll see. Maybe I do, but maybe it kind of changes format and actually becomes a kind of in place, on table podcast where I maybe sit with interviewees and do that kind of thing. Who knows? But either way, I'm having fun learning. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my ramblings to date. As I say, 6 episodes. The playlist is on the Radioactive PR YouTube channel. Please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is you get your podcasts. Please leave reviews. It'd be nice to start kind of climbing those leaderboards. And just, if you think, do you know what, somebody could actually find this of interest, tell your friends. Thank you. Goodbye forever.